Welcome to History San Diego and our 7th landmark profile in the series. I'm George Farrar. At Island and 4th Avenues, there's a historic house, the oldest structure in downtown San Diego in the area of what was developed as Newtown starting in the 1850s. Blink and you'll miss it. It's named the Davis-Horton House, named for important people involved in the early development of San Diego in a new town closer to the harbor, away from Old Town. In 1850, an established sea trader and merchant, William Heath Davis, nicknamed Kanaka Bill, in recognition of his birth in the Kingdom of Hawaii, and a prominent resident of San Francisco, arrived in San Diego and after sizing up things decided to invest in building a new town close to the harbor, seeing the clear commercial opportunities that were possible. In the first attempt to develop closer to the harbor, he bought land from the city along with partners and built a wharf, a warehouse, and shipped prefabricated salt box houses from the state of Maine to start the town. He sited this salt box style house originally at State and Market Streets. It would be moved a couple times. The first attempt at developing Newtown failed, and he retreated back to San Francisco, all for his efforts to be called Davis's Folly. Alonzo Horton would come along in the 1860s, and the second attempt he would lead would develop San Diego to ultimately become the phenomenal success we know of today. Join me as we explore the inside of this historic home, which happens to be on the National Register of Historic Places, a house where Alonzo Horton lived, in a house which at one point was a military barracks, a county hospital, a boarding house that housed a German spy in World War I, who allegedly spied on the U.S. Naval Fleet stationed here, among other iterations. As we explore, let's wonder what might have been if Davis's effort in the early 1850s had been successful, before development ultimately arrived in the late 1860s and early 1870s, which we'll talk about later in the series when we profile Alonzo Horton. But first, let's step into the parlor. I especially enjoyed filming and photographing inside the parlor. Now, it's important to remember as we step into this room that Alonzo Horton and his wife Sarah lived in this house for a period of time while their mansion was being constructed. And an effort has been made to represent this as a Victorian style parlor. And here I am doing the work, bringing it to you. And so we look around, there's a gas lamp, and we see a photo of William Heath Davis, and we see various photos around, and a really nice point at the beginning to really get an experience, to get a flavor of what it would have been like to have lived in this home so long ago. And it was indeed a home in addition to the different functions it would have, as we see later. We step into, across the hallway into a dining room set as it would have been in the 1880s, 1885, and now we're in the kitchen. And we see stoves and an oven that had been there for a long time. So, and other kitchen items of what you'd call the old days. And there's even a sewing room. So an opportunity, you can see in the back of the house, an opportunity to have a special little place. We'll go up the stairs now. And once I got to the top of the stairs, I ran some video. There was a little children's bedroom, as we can see here. And I panned around, and there's some nice maps, various maps and photographs and illustrations throughout the house. A bathroom. And we now take a look inside the study. I was especially intrigued with, I guess you'd call it the Victrola. And a really nice desk. Wouldn't we all like a desk like that? But keeping in mind that a lot of the business that would be transacted in the house would be done in writing, through the mail, and newspapers, and things like that, books. Everything very much of the material era. And of course, you could listen to music And there is the Victrola. So we have a really intriguing, one of the most intriguing rooms of the house to me. But there's even more later on. So we get a chance to get a full view through our look at the home. And we'll also now go ahead then and step into a room that would represent a time of the house's history when it served as a county hospital. Starting in 1873, it had been moved to a different location from State Market. It was moved to a different location, and so it served as a hospital for a period of time. Now we're in Alonzo Horton's bedroom, and a unique feature I saw was this beautiful fireplace. The effort to really draw out the streets and various old newspapers. So kind of a chance to really get a flavor, right? A flavor of the mid to late 19th century and then into the 20th century. And so what an intriguing time it must have been. Times that we may not completely relate to, but certainly some things that we can. And so we're looking at these older pictures of the house. And so I made an effort to gather as many photos to do some comparisons as we look back from yesterday, where it was at 227 11th Avenue, to where it was moved to at Island and 4th, and then also back and forth to the different locations. I'm trying to give you an ability to see what once was, what it looked like in the past. And then there was a study that was done, and they did a really good look back, I believe this would have been around the mid-1970s, to a site survey of the house, looking at the first and second floors. And now we'll go ahead and take a look some more in depth at William Heath Davis's legacy. It is said that Davis was convinced to come down to San Diego to invest by Andrew Gray, who was working with the Boundary Commission, and an argument was compellingly made that development needed to move towards the bay. And so he'll be remembered as someone who got this effort started. And he, through his investment, was bringing in lots of lumber. So they were loading up lumber in these somewhat prefabricated salt box houses onto ships and just coming into San Diego and plopping them down and trying to get this town started. And while you can bring in these materials and these buildings and do these things, you really have to have a gravitas of people. And so they did a lot of work setting up this basically a subdivision of homes and places of business. And it said that he built 3 of these houses in 1850. After exploring the Davis-Horton house, I walked over to Pantoja Park. And I wanted to get a feeling for things because the first attempt at development closer to the harbor was centered around this park. And we'll eventually come back to this park later in the series and talk more about its significance. We see a statue of Benito Juarez here and the skyscrapers of San Diego in the distance. And it was at this point that I felt it was appropriate to film and photograph to bring you modern San Diego, the San Diego of November 2024, to show you how far we came. Now, later on this season, I'm going to talk again about Davis's folly. I'm going to talk again about this first attempt at settlement closer to the harbor. Eventually, Alonzo Horton will come along, and that development will actually occur even closer to the bay. And great things are going to happen. But in order for these great things to happen, we have to look at the 1850s. And so on our next show on History San Diego, we'll be taking a look at San Diego in the North American context. I love to do these North American shows where I take a look decade by decade of what was going on in the United States of America and also throughout North America in each decade. So we'll be looking at the 1850s. I really enjoy bringing these shows to you. I want to encourage you to please, if you haven't already done so, to please subscribe, like the video. Let me know what you think in the comments section. You can press the bell for notification when a new video is posted, which they are monthly. And also, I do want to encourage you, if you really like San Diego history, there's way more than what you're seeing here, and it's on a little Facebook group page called History San Diego. And I want to encourage you to please check it out. We have over 12,000 members now, and it is just growing by leaps and bounds. There's a lot of interest in the past and in San Diego's growth and development. One has to ask, where did America's finest city come from? Dare I say, if you go on to watch these shows as I do them, you will know the answer to that question. A beautiful city, a beautiful history, challenges, setbacks, as we saw in the early 1850s, but continuing to progressively move forward. That is History San Diego. Thanks for watching. Take it easy. See you later.